Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Malishka tried to commit suicide after Rishi says that he doesn't want to marry her. Then Malishka accused Rishi of rape, and so now goes to Lakshmi and blackmail Lakshmi to come and save Malishka's life because she tried to commit suicide. So Lakshmi followed Sonal to Malishka's house. Let's continue from there. Lakshmi and Rishi are talking after Malishka drank poison. Lakshmi asks Rishi why he doesn't want to marry Malishka and says Malishka loves you and you also love her. Rishi asks, what are you saying? Lakshmi says you had lied to me and you got married to me. She says you married me and yet you loved Malishka. So now hears them and thinks that now the bomb would explode. So now goes to Neelam and Kiran and she asks them to check on Malishka. So now thinks that now both mummies will hear what Rishi and Lakshmi are discussing. She says Neelam auntie would hate Lakshmi and Rishi would also hate her. She appreciates herself for the mind-blowing plan and she thinks that Neelam and Kiran doesn't have any idea that Lakshmi is going to do a big blast. Rano asks Bani and Shalu to prepare well for her daughter's marriage and tells them that everything should be good. Neha comes there and asks that what is happening. Rano says my daughter's marriage will be done. Neha asks who is your daughter. Rano says you fool, it is your marriage. She says a good marriage proposal came for you and says we are doing the post-mortem. She meant preparation. Neha tells Rano that it is preparation and not post-mortem. Rano says I know and says stop correcting me. Neha asks Rano that do you know my choice? Rano asks what is your choice? Neha says I like Rishi or Ayush. Rano says I will tell you everything and she looks at Bani and Shalu and she asks them to go and do the arrangement for the wedding and she tells Neha that she will tell her everything later. Lakshmi says to Rishi that I betrayed myself telling you that you are good and truthful and that you respect women. She says, how will I bear the betrayal? And says you are refusing to marry Malishka because you are burdened by my favors and you have sympathy for me and not because you love me. Rishi is shocked because he doesn't understand what Lakshmi is talking about. Lakshmi says to Rishi that why don't you want to marry Malishka when you connected the relationship with her and you have crossed all limits with her? Rishi has teary eyes. Lakshmi says Malishka loves you and that is why she gave her everything to you. She says you have done this to Malishka even though you are the wife, so why are you refusing to marry her? Lakshmi says to Rishi that I hate you very much and I hate myself for thinking that you are good. Rishi asks Lakshmi to listen to him, but Lakshmi asks if anything is left to talk about and says I don't want to listen to you. Kiran and Neelam are standing at the door and they were shocked to hear what Lakshmi is saying. Shalu says to Bani that why do Neha want a guy like Ayush? Bani says even I want such a guy. She tells Shalu that there is something wrong and says it is strange that Neha got a marriage proposal but they don't know the guy. Shalu says Aunt will not tell us everything. Bani says Aunt is cooking some conspiracy and she asks if their sister is related to this conspiracy and Shalu looks on. Lakshmi tells Rishi that she hates him more whenever she thinks of what he did with Malishka. She says, how can you do this with Malishka? Did you realize that you have snatched Malishka's respect from her? And says first night is very precious for a girl and you snatch it from her. She says our marriage was a big mistake and says you have ruined Malishka's life too. Lakshmi says to Rishi that I have divorced you, else you would have ruined my life too. Rishi says, Lakshmi, please. Neelam and Kiran hears everything, and Neelam comes inside and moves Lakshmi away. She scolds Rishi and asks Kiran to punish Rishi for what he did with Malishka because she is too ashamed to call Rishi her son. Kiran feels disgusted and says to Rishi that I regarded you as my own child and you have... She stops and says, why is Neelam asking her to punish Rishi? She says to Rishi that we asked you many times what is going on, but you did not tell us. She says, I asked you why Malishka consumed poison, but you never tell me anything. Kiran says to Rishi that you were hiding what you did to Malishka from us, and she asks that what did I do to deserve this? Rishi asks Kiran to listen to him, but Neelam slaps him and says we cannot think that you will stoop this low. So now pretend and asks Lakshmi why she told everyone what happened between Rishi and Malishka, and she asks Lakshmi to see what she has done. Rishi tries to clarify himself, but Neelam asks him not to call her mom and says she is feeling ashamed that she gave birth to him. She says you have ruined my values and my upbringing. She asks Kiran how to apologize to her and says we can punish Rishi. Forget that he is my son and punish him. Neelam cries and Sonal thinks that Malishka should get up now because the drama is completed. But Virendra thinks that what does Lakshmi's aunt want? He thinks that if the priest brings alliance for Lakshmi, then I will kill the priest. Rishi asks Neelam to listen to him once. Neelam says, I don't want to hear anything because you have accepted your mistake. She says it is a stain on our family's respect. She says when Lakshmi used to ruin our family's respect, I wanted to throw Lakshmi out of the house, but she was silent. Neelam says to Rishi that Lakshmi took the divorce silently and she went away from our house and you were the problem from the beginning. She says you did not tell anything to anyone and you were silent. She then asks Lakshmi why she was silent as well. She asks if Lakshmi was waiting for such a day like today so that she would tell this in front of everyone. Neelam says to Lakshmi that you must be finding a chance to be great again and you waited for it. She says what day could be a good chance than today because everyone is here and you spoke your mouth in front of me. Lakshmi says I did not know that you were here. Neelam asks her to be quiet and says you do this always. Neelam says to Lakshmi that your relationship is over with us and with our son. She says we have nothing to do with you. And then she feels pity on Malishka. She says so much has happened with Malishka, but Malishka was quiet and she attempted to commit suicide so that I don't hate her, so that people don't think that she is wrong. Neelam asks Rishi that what did you do? She says you committed a crime to hide your crime. She says you have hurt Kiran and me. Malishka regains consciousness. Rishi tries to go to her, but Kiran stops Rishi and she goes to Malishka and says thank God that my daughter is safe. Neelam asks Malishka if she is fine. Malishka pretends to be innocent. Sonal says the doctor said that you are fine. Malishka asks why did you save me? I just want to die and she pretends to cry. Neelam says you should not talk like that and she asks why did you do this and Malishka says auntie. Neelam says to Malishka that we have known everything. Malishka asks what? Sonal says everyone came to know what Rishi did to you. Malishka asks if Sonal is mad and says what would they think about Rishi? She asks that why did you tell them? Sonal says Lakshmi told them, not me. Neelam says I'm very ashamed that my son did this to you and she feels bad for Malishka. Neelam apologized to Malishka and says this thing will never happen again and she asks her to promise that she will not attempt to commit suicide again. She says I always wanted you to be my daughter-in-law and now it would happen. Neelam says to Malishka that she will punish Rishi and she asks him to bear the punishment of his sin, else he should not call her as his mom. Neelam tells Lakshmi that she has proved to her once again that she is inauspicious and unlucky for her son. She says you have always hurt Rishi and you return now to bring more problems for him. She says I have never seen such an inauspicious girl like you in my life and Lakshmi looks on. Neelam is in the car going back home and she thinks of Lakshmi's words that Rishi has cheated her and Malishka. Lakshmi feels sorry for Rishi and she tells him that she did not come here to tell everyone what he did and says she just wanted him to marry Malishka and she did not know that everyone were here. Neelam comes home crying and she hugs Grandma. Grandma asks what happened. Neelam says Rishi. Grandma asks what happened to Rishi. Neelam cries. Virendra, Ayush and Karishma comes there. Devika gives Neelam water. Neelam drinks water and Virendra asks her to relax. Grandma asks Neelam that what were you saying about Rishi? Neelam says this time, our family got such a stain that I don't know if it will be wiped out or not. Virendra says you have a misunderstanding. Neelam says I wish it was not true. She says Rishi has ruined everything and he made our head bow down and says Rishi has crossed all limits with Malishka and everyone is shocked. Rishi is walking on the road and he thinks that I cannot betray anyone and I have not done anything. He says Malishka have attempted to commit suicide for me. Lakshmi hates me and I have hurt mom too. He cried and he sit on the road. Grandma asks Neelam that what is she saying? Neelam says my son, how can he do this and how can my upbringing be so bad? Ayush says that this is not possible. I don't believe this. Neelam says Rishi has accepted that he has crossed all limits with Malishka and says Rishi has done a big sin. Ayush says this is not possible. Neelam says because of this, Malishka attempted to commit suicide. Karishma gets worried and asks that how is Malishka and Neelam says Malishka got saved from death and she is fine. Neelam says how do we apologize to Kiran? Virendra says Rishi has ruined our respect, our pride and our prestige and says he will never forgive him. Karishma asks Virendra to calm down and says we know that Rishi and Malishka love each other and says maybe they cross limit in love. Virendra asks if this is love. Ayu says Rishi is not picking his call. Virendra says don't take Rishi's side and says he will punish him and he cannot forgive him for this. Rishi sits on the road and cries, thinking about Neelam's words. He says, please forgive me. I did not do anything intentionally. I did a mistake and not a sin. He cries and says, if you don't talk to me, then with whom will I talk to? And where will I go to? He regrets and he cries sitting on the road. Grandma tells everyone that this pain has come into their lives because they threw Lakshmi out of the house and they hurt Lakshmi and her soul. She says if Lakshmi was here, then this wouldn't have happened. Neelam says I came to know all this because of Lakshmi. She says Lakshmi had come to Malishka's house and she vomit everything. Grandma says, do Lakshmi know about all this? Virendra asks if Lakshmi knows. Neelam says yes, Lakshmi knows because Lakshmi told us, and Grandma and Virendra are shocked. Kiran asks Malishka and asks why she wants to kill herself. She asks if Rishi forced her, but Malishka says no. Kiran says to Malishka that you are equally guilty and says you might have intentionally let Rishi got intimate with you because if you could, then you would have stopped him. She says you should also get the same punishment as Rishi. Malishka says we love each other and we couldn't stop ourselves. So now thinks that Malishka has fooled even her mom and says everything is fair in love and war. Neelam says to Grandma and Virendra that Lakshmi had come to meet Rishi there. Grandma says that is why Lakshmi got divorced from Rishi, but Lakshmi did not tell anyone the reason. Neelam says Lakshmi wanted to become great like always, and she ruined our son's life. Virendra says our son has done wrong with Lakshmi and Malishka, so don't blame Lakshmi, and says Rishi will be punished for this. So now asks Kiran to understand and says you know that Malishka loves Rishi and she felt weak at one moment. She says Malishka trusts Rishi so much, but Rishi took advantage of Malishka and now Rishi is refusing to marry her. But we have to make sure that Rishi and Malishka's marriage happen surely. So now says to Kiran that things like this cannot be hidden for long and says if this thing comes out, then who will marry Malishka now? And she forces Kiran to agree that Rishi should marry Malishka as soon as possible. And Kiran says I have to do something quickly. Rishi sits on the bench on the road and cries. Kiran says to Malishka that Rishi doesn't want to marry you and I don't know if he really loves you or not. She says I don't know if Rishi will keep you happy or not. So now says if I was in your place, then I would have punished Rishi to marry Malishka at the earliest. Kiran says I want my daughter to be happy always and says what if Malishka is not happy with Rishi after the marriage? So now thinks that Kiran is a strange mother and she is thinking otherwise. Malishka says to Kiran that either I get married to Rishi or I will take my life. And Kiran says I want only your happiness. Shalu says why has my sister not come home till now? She thinks that she doesn't trust Sonal, but her sister trusts anyone fast. Lakshmi comes home and she is crying. Shalu asks what happened. She asks that where did Sonal take you to and what work did she have with you? Lakshmi remembered everything that happened and how Neelam blamed her and she asks Shalu and she cries. Of course, it shouldn't be a shocker to us that everything that happened that is bad or not good is always because of Lakshmi. Can you imagine? They cheated Lakshmi, they did all sorts of things to her, but Neelam did not see any reason to feel pity or to feel sympathetic towards Lakshmi. But now that it is about Malishka, she is feeling sorry for Malishka. What a mother. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to give the video a like, share it, and check the comment section for the link to the next episode. And I will see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.